Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Think Future. My name's Calabucas, and once again, we're coming at you live from deep in the heart of Silicon Valley, California. We're talking innovation, startups, the future, not necessarily those, and not necessarily in that order. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and smack that button to get a notification every time something comes up. And don't forget to subscribe if you're listening on one of your favorite podcast services. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about remote work. And one of the biggest problems that I see with remote work, I did a study when I was at Stanford on working from home and remote work and how remote work affects employees when they're out of the office. And study after study after study, we went through a ton of different studies. And each and every study pointed to the fact that except for one small thing, at least we thought it was a small thing, one small thing, that working remotely or working from anywhere was immensely better than working in an office. Immensely better, immensely better. We looked at all the variables. We looked at the health of the individuals, the wellness of the individuals, relationships of the individuals. We looked at environmental issues, sustainability. We looked at cost issues. We looked at issue after issue after issue, item after item after item. And in all things except for one, allowing your employees to work remotely was the way to go. If they didn't have to sit in a car commuting between 15 to 2 hours a day, then they had more time to cook dinner. They had more time to exercise. They had more time with their families. The number of divorces reduced because people spent more time with their families. People spent more time at home. People were less stressed when they got home from the office because they didn't have this enormous commute. They didn't have physical issues. Their backs didn't hurt. They didn't feel claustrophobic. There were so many good things eliminating commuting. Think about all those cars that were no longer on the road. Think about how clear the skies suddenly got. I think they had some shots of Mumbai during the pandemic when at one point you could finally see through the smog. There was no smog left. There were so many upsides to allowing your employees to work from anywhere, not to mention the connections they could make, the innovative connections they could make if they worked in different places, if they didn't go to the same office every day, hang out with the same people every day. Think of the innovative things that they would see when they could clash all these, serendipitous encounters. I mean, better than just working from home, working from anywhere. Go to a coffee shop, immerse yourself in other locations, expose yourself to new things, and you can come up with innovative new ideas. The only thing that was a problem was communication. And what I mean by that is intentionality of communication. And this is another big tenet to innovation, is that a lot of times it's in the unintentional communication. It's the unintentional sharing of information. It's the overheard thought. It's the brand new thing that you never saw, the unintentional communication, the unintentional thing. You didn't intend to call that person, but you bumped into that person. And that bumping into that person creates that serendipity, which could lead to innovation. So the big loss is the intentionality of communication. Because with Zoom and with remote work, you had to be intentional on all your communications. You had to call somebody. You had to talk to somebody. You had to initiate a communication, and you had to do it with intent. You couldn't accidentally bump into somebody. You couldn't accidentally call somebody. You couldn't accidentally, unintentionally make a communication or hear a communication that may not have been pointed to you. So what we lose, the only thing that we lose during allowing your employees to work from home is the unintentional communication. And the problem is the unintentional communications many times lead to innovative breakthroughs. Now, I don't think that is a unsurmountable problem. I think Anybody out there who is working on a startup or is thinking about a startup idea, that would be a great thing to figure out. How do you build? How do you take that last little bit, the only thing that makes working from anywhere an issue, the lack of unintentional communications, and open that up so that we can allow or create a tool, create some technology which will allow these unintentional communications to be created. I remember when I was working with Yahoo a long, long time ago, one of the inventors there came up with an idea, and I forget exactly what it was called, but it had to do with emulating an office space. So you would have your communications open all the time, and people could just start talking to you as if they walked up to you. It would allow unintentional communications to occur. And unfortunately, I don't know what happened to that idea. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know if it got shelved somewhere. But I think we need something more like that. We need some kind of a tool that will allow for unintentional communications to be reinserted back into the remote work environment. Because once we get those unintentional communications reinserted back into the remote work environment, then we'll have almost completely replicated the in-work environment. Now, I think that's the only thing. And the study I did with a number of my peers at Stanford was the only thing that we could come up with. But I'd love to hear from you. Where do you see remote work failing? I can only see it as a lack of unintentional communications. If you can see something else, let me know in the comments below. That's it for me for today. See you next time, and until then, don't forget to think future.